Excuse me, can I please talk to you for a minute?
Sure. You know, you look kind of familiar.
Yeah, you do too. I just wanted to know, do you know a podcast named The Podcast Is Mine?
Oh, I know that podcast.
I just wanted to let you know that it's mine.
No, it's mine.
Hi, and welcome to The Podcast Is Mine. I'm Sunny Gruel.
And I'm Bhushan Kumar.
Hey, Bhushan, how are you today?
I'm good, thanks, Sunny. How's it hanging?
Yeah, real good.
Actually, I asked you that last week, didn't I?
Did I say real low?
No. I think you did. You were dragging it. You were dragging it on the ground, apparently.
In the socks. Talking of clothing, that jacket. Tell me about this jacket.
Oh, this old thing? I just pulled it out the back of the wardrobe. You know how it is.
Narnia back there.
It literally
So
is, honestly.
far deep.
You've seen The Devil Wears Prada. You know when she goes to the sample cupboard? That is my wardrobe. It's like some Nancy Gonzalez and some Chanel and some Oscar de la Renta. Oh, yeah.
No, where'd you get it from?
Well, do you know what? I think you're going to have to open a tab on the Secret Diary of a Zone 1 Ho. Exactly. Because we are about to talk fashion.
That sounds like the Jetsons.
Exactly. It's like the digital Diary of a Zone 1 Ho is now futuristic. So there is no sound unless we want there to be sound. So this was actually from Topman.
Oh, rest in peace.
I know.
Oh, no.
So you texted me the other day because you were about in Central. Tell me the story. What happened?
I think I was just walking around town now that things are starting to open up, and I was doing a bit of shopping, and even though we've talked about it a few times in terms of we know Topman was closing during lockdown, it hit me when I was walking down the street. Wait a minute. The first place I always go to, the most important part of the trip for me of shopping is going to Topman on Oxford Circus. And it wasn't there. And I thought, wait a minute. Oh, damn, where is my, there's that central, like my black hole where all the gravity is kind of concentrated. I thought, where am I going now? Yeah. And I literally didn't know. So I had to just go to the alternatives, which they're not bad. We've got Zara's, we've got Pull & Bear and H&M. But I just didn't feel excited. And it just it really hit home.
Yeah, I mean, Topman's been a linchpin in my style journey for like ever. Because I've been going there since I was 15 years old. Yeah. And it's always been, for us as well, we've always been like, oh, I'll meet you outside Topman.
Yeah.
And I think that particular store is more than all the other stores in the country combined.
It's the best one.
It was like so many, because everyone went there.
Yeah.
Everyone. And it meant more than just like a kind of clothing store. I remember I used to take the Bakerloo line to work, so sometimes I'd pop in there
before going to work.
Before going to work, try to pick up an online delivery. But then also sometimes, because everyone knows Oxford Circus is like a big plug hole. It's like, in a bath, all the water's learning, but it's, replace water with humans. And then
and everyone goes down the drain.
Literally, and never to be seen again. Yeah. And it used to get so crowded, they had to close the station for overcrowding, during rush hour. So sometimes it'd be so much easier just to pop into Topman and just go and have a look. Sometimes you'd see someone you didn't want to see and you could pop into Topman and hide in there. And sometimes if it was raining and you'd be like, do you know what, I'll just wait out the rain, I'll go inside and have a look. And it was just, everyone was in there, even from the basic bitches to the high fashion people. There's always, all of life is in Topman, and it's just such a shame it's gone.
I'm thinking back to the first time I probably went to that flagship store, and that would have been probably around the same. I think I was about 15, maybe. We did a trip down to London by ourselves. Oh my god!
Well, everyone's first rite of passage, wasn't it?
Exactly.
That's the first place you went.
And then we were like, okay, let's go shopping. We got Oxford Circus, got Oxford Street, all the shops. Still, was doing that 15 years later. But you know what? I love their stuff, and it fits. The fact that they had sizes for everyone. It was the super slim sizes, bigger sizes as well, and it catered for so many different styles as well. And it was straight from the catwalk to Topman in terms of, it was really accessible, affordable. I thought good quality. My stuff usually lasted well because I took care of it.
Yeah.
But I am thinking in flashback, so I remember when on the first floor when you went up, because men's has always been upstairs, hasn't it? And remember when the changing room used to be on the left at the back?
Yes.
Before they moved.
Then they moved.
And then it was such a different story. I hated the changing room back then because it was so hot in there. And they intentionally had the worst lighting in there because they thought, you know what, we need people to get in and out of there. We want them to melt while they're in that changing room. So I remember thinking, I brought 15 items in. And this is back in the day when you could only take 6 items.
You still could only take 6?
No, they had big hangers now.
Oh, really?
They had a big hook that had 12 and stuff.
Oh my god!
It must have been because of me.
Yeah, exactly. You shop like a real housewife. What?
But yeah, other memories. It's just felt really sad.
Do you know, I have two very special memories that I want to share with the TPIM listeners. So the first was, so back in the day when I was 18, I worked at Topshop for a month.
You did not. Was this work experience?
No. So
you were paid for this?
I was paid for the pleasure. It was before uni, so I needed like a summer job, and I'd been working in Selfridges. I'm so bougie, sorry. Like, you know, if you're offended by all the name dropping, tough. I'd been working in Selfridges, and it wasn't quite for me, so I decided to go and work in Topshop. And I'd like got a day. I left Selfridges on the Monday and started at Topshop on the Tuesday. This was before uni, trying to make a bit of money and stuff. And the favorite story was I got till trained by pure luck, just because I worked some extra hours, and this woman was just walking around and she was just like, what's your name? How long have you worked here? And I was like, oh, just like 2 days. And she said, do you want to be till trained? I was like, yeah, okay. So I got till trained. And I remember that time Mariah Carey's Heartbreaker video got released. Because back in the day, Topshop used to have these big screens, and they used to play music videos all the time.
Where was that?
So when you used to come in via the Oxford Circus entrance and go down to Topshop, there was a big video wall. Oh,
that was downstairs to women's. I never went down there.
Oh, did you never?
Oh, I did at school.
But in men's, there was like big screens everywhere, and then they would play music videos.
I remember it now.
And see, this is how frequently I used to go. I used to go every month at that time. And I remember when Mariah Carey's Heartbreaker premiered, the tills all broke down. And it was a Saturday afternoon in Oxford Circus. It was just one of the most stressful times, because they literally, the supervisor was like, look, you're going to have to start processing everything manually. So there was these old credit card machines that you had to run over slips and stuff.
No, that's so like Home Alone 2.
It was literally like that. And like, that's the only time I've ever had to do that in my life. But it was madness. And so like, I credit that to Mariah Carey. And then the second like story I wanted to share was actually a changing room story, because one thing about it was, it's always been really friendly in there.
Yes.
And there was this really like handsome guy, and and I went to the changing room because I was going to go to try stuff on. He was trying on a pair of jeans, and he was like, they were skinny jeans, and like he was quite muscular.
He was like, help me get into them.
Well, he was trying to put them on, and like he was trying to button them, and then he was like, mate, what do you think? And I was like, to be honest, I would go and try on the slim fit, because I said they're going to flatter your shape better. And then like, so I went and tried my thing, and he's like, all right, I'll see. And I was like, I don't know if he's going to take my advice or not. And then when I was leaving to go and pay for my purchase, he was at the till. He was like, thanks, mate. Yeah, I went for them. And I was like, that's such a lovely moment that I would only get in Topman. Like in Zara, no one asks you for advice. Primark never get. No, every person for themselves. But Topman had that nice quality. It had that kind of collegiate, kind of, and especially for men as well. It was just accessible.
Yeah.
Like you didn't go in there and feel intimidated, or you could like there's this one time, one more story, and then
tell us, we want to know.
I remember like when I was in, it's a humble brag alert.
New York.
You got me started, exactly. So I was in New York, and I was at a J. Crew sample sale. And they separated the men's and the women. So the changing area was literally like, you had like, there was just to the back, there was just a curtain. Everyone was just getting changed. It was like the communal changing rooms of the old, I know. And then I went to try something in, and I just had like a big lunch somewhere. So I was literally like 6 months, 7 months pregnant, and like with my big hairy belly. And then there's this guy next to me, and he had like he was literally like a model. He had like a 6-pack and everything. And again, he was just like trying stuff on, and he goes, it looks good, man, doesn't it? And I was just like, yeah, fuck you. Fuck you very much. Like I just ended up trying my stuff on over my t-shirt, because I was like, I am not showing my pregnancy belly.
God. You know what? That sounds like such a great social evening. If they had changing rooms like that in London now, wow.
That's what I mean. Like, where are we going to get those moments? We're not, sadly. So R.I.P. Topman. Apparently, there was rumours that ASOS were going to open their first retail store there, but I don't think they are now.
No.
And I think the hunt is on. We're going to see who's going to get that big retail.
It's going to be something disappointing.
Well, I hope it's like Zara. So we have like the biggest Zara in the world, bigger than the one in Madrid. Can you imagine if they open like this continental cafe upstairs full of like Eurotrash, and we can just like go and look at all the pretty people wearing Zara?
Yeah, no, that's true. I think that's the next best thing.
That's adequate compensation for the trauma we've endured.
But at least they are still selling Topman branded items on ASOS, or is that just clearance stock?
No, it's actual stock.
Okay,
and like
good. So continue on.
Yeah, and I actually recently ordered something from there, from Topman.
Okay.
And like it made me miss the store, because like I wish I'd known. I would have gone and seen the actual size of it and feel of it. Yeah. But R.I.P. Topman, you will live on forever in our hearts.
Yeah, we
Topman Oxford Circus, that is, and like
the rest of them we don't.
The rest of them who care. The Marble Arch one, what was that about? Honestly,
there was a Marble Arch one.
There was a Marble Arch. There's one in the Strand.
Yes, there was one, because that was near my office, and it'd go down. Okay, but it was terrible.
It was dull as. But
So
what was good
dead.
about that one was all the corporate people wouldn't buy the fashionable stuff. So
Yeah,
you
that
always
was the
knew
only
that if
thing
you couldn't
left.
find your size, go to the Strand because it's there.
That was the one where I knew I had a weekend coming up. You know, when you're like, I need something new before you go out in a week. God, this is what the life was like before pandemic, needing something new to wear.
I'll just head to the shops.
Yeah, we
Don't
don't
need a
do
mask.
that. We
Yeah.
don't do that anymore. We don't have anything to go out.
You don't have anywhere to go.
I know.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh gosh. But yeah, so I used to run into that one and have a look, and I was like, this is so disappointing. I thought I'm getting straight on that Bakerloo line. Oh, but not anymore.
And heading to Topman. Oh, bless.
Oh dear, dear,
Oh,
dear.
well,
But
what-
anyway, let's get on to today. We're going to close the tab.
And that's going to auto-save. So in our hearts forever.
Oh, yes, we'll archive.
Yes.
Okay, so now we're going to go on to the main episode today, which is
Yay.
called The Fast and the Furious.
Excuse me, the Fast and the Fabulous.
Oh, sorry.
So if you are a lawyer from the Fast and the Furious, please don't sue us.
Sorry.
It's meant to be a pun on the Fast and the Furious.
It's my speed reading skills
You
getting put
sped through that, honestly. You put your foot down on the pedal. All right, Sonny, take it to the bridge.
Let's
What's
take
it
to the
about?
bridge. So driving is a weird and wonderful skill. Once you learn how to drive, a whole new world opens up to you.
New world.
That's a really dirty song.
It is.
Listen to the lyrics. Anyway, but
Let's talk about that in OnlyFans.
what happens when you're a Zone 1 hoe who prefers walking to curb crawling? Are you a scrub hollering at the trade, at the passenger's side of your best friend's ride?
Trying to holler
At
at me. It was
me.
you the other day, wasn't it? I knew it. I thought so.
On the bus.
The 205.
205. We will not go into the 205. There's so much
OnlyFans
to
Lounge
tell.
again.
Yeah.
We're going straight to the OnlyFans Lounge. Let's do It's not open yet. Sorry, guys.
As society and technology evolves, do we even need cars? Or is it possible to live a car-free existence without missing out on opportunities? Get in, loser. We're about to find out.
Yeah. Brum, brum, start your engines.
It felt very Drag Race.
Exactly. Gentlemen, may the best win. win.
Don't F it up.
Yeah, exactly. No, we're not the showdown yet.
No.
So I think it's very hot in here, and I think with me and Sunny, the heat is getting to us.
It's so warm in here.
I have no idea. I think it's because we were talking about the Topman changing rooms, and then
Oh,
literally
you know what? That J. Crew, I want to
oh,
be in that.
the J. Crew one. Oh, that's an OnlyFans story.
You know what? We closed that tab. I want to reopen that tab. I can't believe you never told me that
Oh,
story.
off air, I've got another two that I need to
Okay,
tell
we're
you. in there as
we're
well.
gonna wrap this episode up.
Okay, so driving, we don't need it. Okay, OnlyFans.
Drive safely.
Drive safe.
Oh, no.
Okay.
In all seriousness, Bhushan,
Yes.
are you a lesbian that can't drive? Do you have a
How dare you?
Do you have a driving license?
I'm a non-driver. Thank you very much.
Wasn't that a quote from what's Clueless? Remember?
But if there are any lesbians listening, we do
No,
not doubt
we
your
don't.
driving ability.
better
It's
than
just,
us.
yeah, exactly. So no, I don't have a driving license. Yes, that's right.
Oh no, sorry, I just realised the quote.
What's the
Are you a virgin? You're a virgin that can't drive.
Wow, attacking me on all
Not
fronts
lesbian,
today.
sorry.
Attacking me on all fronts today. Whoa.
What a stretch.
It's exactly. That's what he said. That's what she said. Oh,
Sorry,
gosh.
continue.
So, no, I don't have a driving license. My driving journey has been quite weird. So obviously, if you're playing along at home, grab that glass of water because where was I born? Central London. So, because I've lived in Zone 1 all my life, my dad didn't drive either, and he still doesn't. And because of that, so we were used to, and because we were like Zone 1 hoes from birth, we were used to schlepping around on buses and tubes and walking because everything was like there. Like, you could get a bus to go to Oxford Street, you could get a bus to go to Kensington. School was a walk away. Tube, and like the only place that we would really go where we needed a car was Slough because we had
my
relatives
God.
there. And of course in Slough, like,
And you want your own transport to get back home.
oh my God. So let me tell you the trauma very quickly. So we used to have to, what was fun about Slough was we used to go to London Paddington. We used to get the bus to Paddington.
Yes.
And then from
Oh,
Paddington.
the bus to Paddington, it's so close to you.
I know, my dad's so like he was so extra. Honestly, it's because back in like 1864, the bus used to cost 25p for a child
No.
and 50p for an adult. And my dad had a bus pass, so it was me and my brothers and my mum. And what it was, he used to make us go by bus to Paddington, and then from Paddington we used to get a train to Slough, and that used to be quite fun because that's where I kind of get my love for trains from. Because I was like, seeing the trains go to like Bristol, or I'd see them going to other fun places, and I'd be like, "Where are we going? Slough, yay!" And then and the worst thing was as well, because then you have to change at Slough to go to Windsor, so you'd get loads of people going on there. And I'd always be like, "Oh, look at all these like interesting, well-dressed people going to Slough," and then they change and go to Windsor, and we had to get off at Slough Station. And Slough Station is like exactly what it does on the. It says, it does what it says on the tin. So when we got to Slough, obviously, like, being South Asian and brown families, there's always like a bloody roster of drivers.
You weren't allowed to get any of the trains. Exactly. You were like, wait a minute, you're brown, you're exiting the station.
We used to cop an earful all the time when we got there, like, oh, why didn't you come by car? Why didn't you do this? And then what would happen was there'd always be someone. There's always like a bloody designated driver. Like I said, it was like a rota system. Whoever was free and in the area, it's like a minicab thing. It's like literally, oh yeah, they're at the station. Can someone go and pick them up and deposit them? And that's how our day. And then then they would go drop us off as well. And what was worse about it, because me and my younger brother used to get motion sickness, so we used to, because we weren't used to traveling in cars.
Oh no.
Do you know what it is? Slough stinks of gas, and come at me, because the last time I went, it just smelled.
We are going to get a lot of flack for this.
Like Slough is literally, I'm going to be banned from Slough. Like,
you definitely are now.
Literally, the whole place smells like a big gas leak.
I
said what I said. Anyway, but we used to. So I remember Slough was the only place that we really needed a car. Anyway, so before I offend any other small towns in the UK,
there's always Wolverhampton.
Well, don't even get me started on that. I mean, maybe it was a good thing we didn't have a car, because then we couldn't go all the way up. We couldn't go north of Watford. Basically, Slough was the furthest we used to go. But then also when I was 16, my mum. So my dad still hadn't learnt to drive, and one of my mum's friends, she learnt to drive. Yeah. And she was like saying to my mum, "Oh, why don't you go and learn to drive as well? Like, it's automatic. You just put the car into drive and then off you go. Like, it's like a literal Rihanna, shut up and drive kind of thing." And so I was 16 and I'd started sixth form, and I was like, "Oh, I want to learn to drive as well." My mum was like, we could only afford for one person to learn. Yeah. So
it's
I said,
expensive. It
was so expensive. And I said, "Do you know what, Mum? Why don't you learn and I'll learn afterwards?" Because then, like, that was the kind of plan. And my mum learned and she passed, and she did very well. She passed the first time, and she's a very good driver. No sexes. I mean, like, what a woman bashing episode is turning out to be. Like, she's an excellent driver, technically. She can do like Driver. You remember the game Driver on the PlayStation? You had to do a driving test, like slaloms and 180. My mum can do all of that. When it comes to direction,
unintentionally,
exactly. But when it comes to directions, the woman, and especially in a new thing is though, I've got to give her props though. She used to go and drop me off at uni in central London and drive the central London roads and manage them perfectly. So I was like, and like, there's really experienced drivers who can't do that. But the thing with my mum is that she's a brilliant driver when she knows where she's going. But if it's a new place or somewhere she doesn't know, then like I had to be like kind of like passenger, like directing and like kind of like Captain Kirk on the ship. But anyway, as a consequence, I didn't really learn to drive, and then I used to get used. I was always being driven around and stuff.
Which is how we want to be. We want to be driven.
Like Miss Daisy had the right idea, honestly. Just sit in the back, looking fantastic, getting papped, all that kind of stuff. None of that parking shit, any of that. You just get it done. But yeah, so I didn't learn to drive, and I still haven't. I'm just like, I'm always, I like to ride, not be ridden. So what about you, Sunny?
I just got a mental image of you not being ridden. Don't worry.
OnlyFans.
We're skipping ahead.
We all go so fast.
Have you seen that meme of Celine Dion? We need to post this when we post this episode. Because she sat at the back of a car and it's got tinted windows, and Celine is a legend. We live.
I just realised the one. Yes,
there's a fan out the window and they're like singing one of her songs, and then all of a sudden she just closes the window, and there's a finger, but it's edited. It's not the real reaction. That is one of my. That is how I imagine you would be in a car being driven around.
Literally, the fans and everybody knocking at the window, and I'm just like ignoring them. I'm like, "Come on, what's the hold up? Let's go." But do you have a driving license?
I do. It's a similar story in terms of I moved to London when I was 18, so I really struggled to have time and actually the interest to want to learn to drive. I was learning in Wolverhampton before I moved down to university, but I always just I left it to the last minute. It was like the summer, and I remember doing like 5 or 6 lessons and thinking, you know what, I've got to go to uni now, I'll pick it up later. Yeah. But that was a very big mistake, because that meant that I needed to pay for my own lessons after that. Dad was paying for them before, and Mum. So I was, oh crap, now I've got to pay for for it because I'm an adult. So I just thought, screw this, I ain't doing it.
Yeah.
And for so long, it would have been ideal if I had learned how to drive because I didn't drink. But everyone always was like, oh, you can drive because you haven't drank tonight. I was like, I'm gonna like,
excuse me, do I look like I came here to drive?
Exactly. I have a provisional. I was like, that is the furthest that is going to get. So I remember just thinking, oh, I'll do it.
Yeah.
And then I got to like 26 or maybe it was 24. And I remember thinking, you know what, I can't leave it any longer. It's just getting ridiculous. And because I was living just right next to my office, just by Holborn, I thought, now I'll learn. And I said to my instructor, you need to pick me up outside my office, which was right outside Chancery Lane.
Oh, goodness.
So I was like, oh my goodness, how am I going to learn how to drive from here? And then he said, can we not pick you up from where you live? And I was like, I live on Hatton Garden. It's right next door. I don't think it's any better. Let's just go for it. And I remember some of my friends at work standing outside waiting for me to start driving.
Oh my God.
It was so pressured. It was awful. But you know what? It was fine because I had driven before and I knew what I was doing.
Yeah.
And I was amazing at Gran Turismo. You know I'm a gamer.
That's what I was about to say. Midnight Club. You were just like slamming down. But what's that thing that you do when you get? Is it a booster? You know that thing, the nitro, when it.
The nitro.
You employ that gas past the finish line.
Unfortunately, the Ford Fiesta that I was learning to drive in didn't have nitro. But, you know, I really like my instructor. And, you know, it was the best way to learn because being in the heart of London, learning pre-pandemic, there were cars on the roads. And it was just so many cyclists. It was a complete and utter frenzy. And I remember thinking, wow, I am really under pressure right now. But it was fine. It was like, this is the way to learn because there's no greater challenge than this.
Exactly.
So then I thought, you know what? Everyone's always said, don't just keep doing lessons, just book your test. It would put the pressure on.
Yeah.
So as soon as I started doing 1 or 2 lessons, I thought, you know what?
I'm ready.
I'm ready. Exactly. I thought, I'm going to book a test.
Yeah.
So I booked a test in Wolverhampton.
Because it was cheaper.
No, it's the same price. But it was the only place I had availability.
Oh. Oh my God, my mom had to do hers in Greenford or Southall or somewhere.
But you know why it was a genius idea? Because there's no cars in Wolverhampton. Well, there are, but it wasn't as
Was it horse and carriage previously?
Did I not tell you I was learning in a DeLorean? It was going back to the So then I remember thinking, okay, you know what? I'm going to tell my instructor. He was such a nice guy. And I remember I said, look, it was my second lesson. I had a lesson every other day. I was like, I need to do it intensively because I booked a test at I think maybe a month later. So I thought, look, we've got plenty of time. We've got a whole month. It'll be fine. Like, I don't need to do that many lessons. It's going to cost a lot. So then I said to him on the second or third lesson, I was like, I just wanted to let you know that I have booked my test. And he was like, well, that has really thrown their cat amongst the pigeons. You can't drive yet. I was like, no, it's a month from now. And he was like, how are you going to have he said, have you got a car for the test? And I said, doesn't the person I'm doing the test, I didn't realize I needed to bring a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very disorganized. So I needed to then find someone in Wolverhampton that was willing to just let me use their car, a test vehicle for the test. And I had to pay for him to do a few lessons before because he was like, look, you're not just using my car for the test because you need to have an official car.
Oh, yeah. Oh, so you had to get another driving instructor in
Wolverhampton.
So your instructor didn't come down to Wolverhampton, didn't offer to come down?
He would not do that for me. Not after my request of, oh, by the way, I'm not going to let you milk me for 5 months. You've only got a month to make the most out of this relationship.
Yeah.
And I was like, screw it. So then I had to find someone, and I did, thankfully. Yeah. And the good thing was he had the same car as my mum.
Oh, nice.
So actually, it was easier to learn because I'd already been driving mum's car here. I remember thinking back to my dad used to take me occasionally for little lessons unofficially. And this is when I thought it ain't happening. He used to take me near his work and it was pretty quiet. It was actually it was the worst place to learn because it was loads of heavy goods vehicles. All these 18-wheelers and me driving around in mum's Corsa. And I remember the ones I was just like, I don't know what happened. I panicked and I just went straight towards the wall. But thankfully, I braked.
Oh my God.
I saw my dad's pretty chill, but I saw his reaction. I just thought, yeah, this is not continuing on anymore. But anyway, so I did my test in Wolverhampton, and there were no cars on the road, completely empty. But the car I was driving, it was slightly slower than the one that I've been used to. So I was not used to kind of putting my foot down on the pedal.
Yeah.
And remember, we were on a dual carriageway, and I was thinking, there's so many cars going past us. This is ludicrous. And I thought, should I drop a gear now? Because that's the only way. It was a little bit of an incline. I thought, that's the only way I'm going to get faster, but it's going to make the car sound a bit funny. So I thought, I've got to own it now. I'm just going slow on this dual carriageway. And we got to the end and I thought, please don't fail me. And she was like, well, I've got good news. You have passed first time. She's like, but I nearly failed you because we were making no progress. She was like, how slow were you driving on the dual carriageway? And I was like, oh yeah, sorry, I'm not used to the car. I've been learning in this other than maybe 2 hours before this test. But yeah, that was the story of how I learned. And then after that, then I've been driving since.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah.
So do you find in London that you ever actually drive?
Oh, how many times have I driven in London? Other than when I was learning how to drive, very few. Well, actually, no, you know what? In the last few years, I've been using Zip cars.
Oh, yes.
So, and before I never bothered because you needed to pay like an annual subscription. But now it's very simple. You just, sign up and then, give a copy of your license. You can pick up a car it's like one of the bikes that you have, the Santander ones. And that's when I've occasionally used them because it's handy when you don't drink.
Yeah.
Well, I have recently started drinking here and there, but anyway. But yes, it's when I'm not drinking, then I will use the car. But actually, when I was thinking about it, I don't think I've actually driven that much in the UK. I've probably driven more abroad than I have.
Well, this is it. I think it's more holidays and stuff. And also, it's interesting that point you made about drinking because when I would go out as well, and I wouldn't drink, and everyone was like, "Oh, you could have driven us here." And I was always like, well, that's a good thing I haven't learned then because otherwise I would just be turning to drive. Because being the driver is the worst, isn't it? Because then you've got to start the journey, you've got to go and pick everyone up, drop everyone off. And it just adds 2 hours to and also you can't duck out early because then everyone's relying on you for a ride or whatever. And also, it's so true. The only time I've really kind of felt its absence is when I was abroad. Because then, when I went to LA or when I went to Dubai and I was thinking, oh my God, if I had a car.
You were like Sex and the City, and then when they were turned up on the West Coast, they were like, who can drive?
Exactly. Oh my God. It's exactly that. Literally carrying that convertible. Kind of,
no one drive.
And then also, I'm so basic, I'd have to probably do automatic rather than manual.
But automatic is nice. I think you would prefer that.
I think so too. Yeah. But I think I would because it's so interesting what you were saying earlier as well about how there's this pressure. Everybody is you've got to learn to drive. Again, it's one of those societal things that's kind of and especially in South Asian families, it's you've got to be academically brilliant. You've got to be a virgin, and you've got to
have a driving license.
And the thing is, if you don't drive, everyone kind of looks at you you don't drive. It's kind of no, I don't. What's the big deal?
It's so basic. We don't need a car.
And also living here in Central as well.
That was my next question to you. I was going to say, with the amazing public transport that we've got, and when you are located in a place where you can get to places very easily and quickly, do you even need a car?
Well, this is it. I think the only time we need it, as a family, living with my parents and stuff, doing the weekly shop, because then it saves us having to go and carry stuff. And also when you go to IKEA or you do big DIY shops, because then trying to, otherwise it's just kind of daylight robbers. You're £250. That fucking wardrobe was only £50. Do you know what I mean? You'd pay £250 because you have to get a cab, you have to do all of this kind of stuff. So I mean, in that respect, it's good for carting heavy goods and
But how often do you need to do that?
This is it.
And we can pay for delivery fees.
Exactly. And then cash and carry as well, going down to the Asian areas and getting the big drum of oil, the sacks of rice and the wheat, and and then my parents would always be like, oh, we have to pay a mini cab, and it's just fine. It's a quarterly expense. It doesn't
exactly, especially not when you don't have the cost of a car, because cars are expensive.
They are. Do you know? I read somewhere that a car depreciates from the moment you buy it.
100 loads,
doesn't it? And then you've also got to you've got to do the insurance, you've got to do the road tax, you've got to do the MOT, you've got to do the maintenance of it,
fuel.
And get fuel, parking as well. If you're doing off-street parking, or if you've got a garage, and you've got to pay for a garage as well. And then when you go out and take it somewhere, there's so many times where you have to go and park somewhere, and then that just kills half the fun. You have to worry about the car. No, and then if you're drinking, you can't. And then if you drink, exactly, then you have to leave the car there. Then the next day you have to go back and get it again. I mean, it's so long.
It doesn't, depending on, I always thought to myself, look, one day I'll want a car. But then I realized actually it depends on what my lifestyle is. And I've not ever needed it. And it's useful to be able to drive and get places. And now that we've got the concept of Zip car, I'm glad that I can drive and you can use it in that situation. Yeah. But actually, given the fact that it's not contributing very well to the climate either, car sharing in that kind of concept is actually brilliant. And during lockdown, we've noticed, with all the roads kind of being locked off because of all this new al fresco dining that we have in like Soho everywhere, because we can't eat inside at the moment.
Yeah.
How amazing is this? It feels like you're in Europe.
It does. Yeah, it feels really good. And like the air just feels a lot cleaner. And I don't know, there's definitely a difference with having less car. Like during lockdown, not having cars on the road was actually really, really nice. And like it was much quieter as well, I found.
It was. I hope it sticks even after COVID goes away, because it will go away.
Yeah.
I hope they keep this alfresco dining where they're closing off the streets. Because I don't know if you went down Regent Street when they had it all pedestrianised during Christmas.
Yes.
How nice was that?
That was lovely. That was really, really nice. And I think that whole area, they should, think about doing some sort of like, they were talking about this tram that runs from one end to Oxford Street to the other.
Really?
So there's been this idea that they're thinking of like doing some sort of free tram or something that goes from Marble Arch to Tottenham Court Road. And what that would do is that would eliminate, because obviously there's no cars allowed on Oxford Street anyway. You're only allowed taxis and buses.
Oh, you can't drive down Oxford?
You can't drive on. No,
yeah, because
it's not allowed.
And
There's various intersections that you can take and stuff. But
I've definitely driven down it. It's a car. Is that not allowed?
I think there's I'm not sure what the rule. I believe the rule is that it's only taxis and buses, especially during the day. Maybe perhaps at night you're allowed to.
Oh God!
But when I think about it, whenever I've been taking up those alleys, it's always been like the other way around. Like it's never
one
been
way only.
one way, exactly.
No entry.
Oh my God, the underlying theme today is OnlyFans. It's on the mind, isn't it? It's crazy. But no, I know what you mean. Yeah, so it would be, I think it really helped with the climate. And just
I agree with that. And to be fair, I wouldn't have started cycling in Central if it wasn't for the pandemic and cars reducing on the roads and them locking loads of roads off. Now it has given me confidence, even with cars on the road, to ride a bike. Yeah. So
I was just going to quickly ask you about that. Like, how does it feel to do you feel that because you've got a driving license, it's helped you be confident about riding a bike? Or
it makes me more conscious now of what drivers could do, maybe potentially, because I'm trying to think. I mean, when I've driven, I've not really been around, other than when I was learning, a huge number of cyclists, and I was always really paranoid because I'm not one of those drivers when I do drive that hate cyclists. People are so venomous because of them, and I'm like, you do realize that they are helping. Firstly, reduce congestion generally in terms of there's not an extra car on the road, but they're not polluting the environment. So I've never had that hatred. I know that some cyclists can be frustrating because they don't always follow the highway code. Yeah. And that can be dangerous, but I don't hate cyclists, so it's never been that frustrating. So I'm just very conscious that when I'm riding around, what could a car do? And I remember watching a few YouTube videos of like, what are the things to be conscious of? Yeah. Because still, you don't always feel completely safe because you hear horrible stories, don't you, all the time? It's not.
It's true. And you are very vulnerable. And it's quite scary.
But yeah, no, I'm glad that I've had the opportunity now to learn to ride a bike in Central without feeling insane fear.
Yeah, that's good.
So I just wanted to ask you, Bhushan, a little bit about your best and worst driving experiences.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm going to start with my worst, and I know this is going to crack you up
because I'm so excited.
Because obviously. So in 2011, I had a near fatal car accident. And,
I remember. Do you remember? Oh, I love this story.
But I think it's well, I'm not going to tell the whole thing, but
please tell the bit that I love.
It was basically. So just remember, dear listeners, I nearly died.
Sorry.
No, I'm joking.
I always laugh at inappropriate
To be fair, it's my fault because I told it to you in such a way that if you didn't laugh, I'd have been more angry that you didn't laugh than the fact that you're laughing. I nearly died.
You told me with such a serious.
I know, and the way I said it, and you were literally like, I remember your reaction. And I was like, what? But anyway, so very quickly, the story goes: we were on my way. Slough again. This is why I've got a vendetta against Slough. We were on my way to my cousin's wedding. It was one of the 5 million pre-wedding parties. Oh God. And we were driving down the road, and we were on dual carriageway, and then we had to. It was all very, very dark. If you know that area very well, and
there's no electricity.
Well, that's literally the road was pitch black, and the turning that we needed to take was across a dual carriageway. So there was traffic coming the other way, and we were going towards it. And my mum was like driving cautiously, and also because there was no like lights and stuff, so we couldn't see the sign. And then we spotted the sign, and we had to turn to the right to take it. And behind us, there was somebody who was like flashing their lights behind us. They were kind of like, basically, people in Slough have no patience. And I'm like, you guys are not going anywhere. So why are you so impatient all the time? But anyway, he flashed his lights. So that really put my mum off. And then I was like, oh no, there's the right coming up. And then like everyone was shouting right. So my mum turned onto the dual carriageway. And then we just saw all these other cars racing towards us, and I just saw the lights coming towards us. So this is the bit that made you laugh. I was just like, oh my God, we're going to die. And in that moment, I was like, am I happy with my life? And the answer is no.
That was the bit when you said...
And I was like, it was such a deep confessional, and Sunny, and that's the reaction Sunny had. Anyway, and then...
Not that I was happy that you felt that
No,
way.
I know.
It was just, I could see your face lit up by the headlights of a car, but look from the perspective of the car, and you just sat there like, you know what? Just
all decked up like a bloody Indian groom, like, you know what I mean?
Well, like, you know what? Just kill me now.
Looking fabulous. It's just like, yeah, come on, do your worst. Then luckily my mum pushed forward a bit more, and then we managed to move off the carriageway, but not enough because we had such an old car. It was a good old Nissan. The car that smashed into it was almost totaled. Luckily, the guy was fine.
Oh, so you did get hit. I forgot that bit.
Well, we got really hit. So me and my brother, my younger brother, absorbed the impact. It was
What an insult!
It was terrible because the worst thing was so when we emerged from the car and the car was totaled, and then obviously we told someone at the wedding, and then my dad came and brought they're never going to listen to this.
I'm sure you had a row with your dad at the time or something. Was you all late or something?
Yeah, he brought the stupidest relative he could find. Like we were like, one of our relatives was a policeman, and we were like, bring him because he's a policeman. He knows how to deal with crisis situations. Yeah. And instead they brought the dumbest uncle they could find. He was like, kind of like, oh yeah, I'll take you because I'm like just sitting around doing nothing. Anyway, we got to the wedding. So anyway, my mum had the breathalyzer test. We got checked over by ambulance because someone had called the police. We don't know who.
They thought she was drunk.
Yeah, but the thing was, we didn't know that. When you have an accident, you have to call the police.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but I'm not a driver, and
True.
and that was the first ever accident. Like us Kumars, we go hard or we go home, literally. So that was the first ever accident we'd had ever. So it was like, oh my gosh. So and I remember we then had to go to the wedding party. And everyone there was like, oh, look, don't worry about it. Look, just get smashed and you'll be fine. And it's like, this is not, like,
we have to get back.
I literally couldn't feel the left-hand side of my body. And then I was like, look, I just want to go home. And they were like, no, they're going to charge you £90 for a cab. Look, the groom party, they're going back to central London. They'll drop you off by coach. And I literally, so the expletives I was coming out with, I was
not
like,
a wedding coach.
I was like, I don't give a F. I'll pay like £200. I just
I will walk.
I will walk. I was like, I'll walk to the train station and take the train home. I just do not care. But anyway, I had to take two, the Indian cure for everything, 2 paracetamols.
Oh my God.
I had to have 2 paracetamols. And then they were like, oh, Bhushan, you're a great dancer. Can you dance? I was like, oh my God,
and then you're like, yeah, you did it.
Well, of course I smashed it.
I was going to say, you totally smashed
it. Like, I started the party. Like at one stage, I was even like to the DJ, I was like, oh God, I can't feel the left hand. My left hand side of my face.
Everything just came back when you were on stage.
Literally, and I was just like, play this song.
My face was out.
Do you know what it was? It was Madonna at the Brits. When she got yanked down. Living for love. Quiet. And then I took the cape off, and then I was like, I carried on the performance.
No one knew.
Literally, it was trending on Twitter, like anything back in 2011. But anyway, that was my worst car journey. The best car journey I ever had was in Los Angeles. And it was on my birthday, and I was going to Venice Beach, and I got an Uber driver, and this Uber driver was amazing. Like, he picked me up, and he was like telling me his life story, and he had an amazing story. He had escaped from Somalia, had gone all the way through Africa, gone through Europe. He'd even come to the UK for a bit. Then he got to America. He went to New York, and then New York to LA, and then he was living in LA, and he'd made a life for himself, and he was helping other refugees do the same thing. And that was a long journey because I was going from West Hollywood all the way to Venice Beach, and it was like I think the Uber journey said it would be like an hour and a half or something, but it literally didn't feel that long because his story was so amazing. And then when I got out at the end, he was like, "Oh yeah," I said, "Oh, it's my birthday," and he was like, he wasn't going to charge me, and I was like, "No, you were going to take the cost of this," and I gave him 10, and he was like, if you need anything else, let me know, and blah blah. And he gave me his number, and he said if you ever need a driver, just let me know, all that kind of stuff. But it was just nice to, not in that way, but he was
and then we just had the most sex.
Exactly. It was more driving Miss Daisy than Miss Daisy gets driven. Do you know what I mean? It was very Celine Dion, in my tinted windows. Again, you have. I'm telling you, our OnlyFans is where all those stories are at. There are other stories.
So many car stories. There's another amazing story as well, which is completely off topic. We are definitely going to bring it up on OnlyFans once. Remember when you were in that motel? Again, we're jumping ahead.
We're jumping ahead of it. So Sunny, tell me about your worst experience and your best experience in an automobile.
I mean, the best has, it's not going to be anything as touching as what you've said. Oh, God, I can't. I don't even
I told you, Kumars, we go hard or we go home.
Gosh, man, keeping up with the Kardashians.
Exactly. The Kardashians are out. It's keeping up with the Kumars now.
I'm trying to think of like good or bad. So bad. Oh, when you were talking about the dual carriageway, what it reminded me of is, I remember once when I was driving back from my friend's place in, they live in Cheshire.
Mm-hmm. Where?
Cheshire. It's a beautiful part of the north.
Zone 92.
It's off the map. It's totally off the grid. I don't think they've mapped any of it, to be honest. It's so off the scale.
Is it Manchester? Is it near Manchester?
It's near Manchester.
Okay.
It's just it's a nice apartment. It's nearby what is it called? Knutsford, which is a really pretty area. It's like it's nice. We'll post some pictures.
Scotland. Dundee.
But then I think I'd gone home to see my parents, and then I was like, what every kid does, plan a trip away
To recover from the trip home.
So I think I went to see a friend, and I hung out there for a night, and then I was driving back, and I remember, or maybe I did a day trip, but I remember driving back and it was dark, and on the way back towards my parents, it's like loads of country lanes, really, really, there's no lights. It's like you are driving through countryside. That's one of the things I hate about driving, where there's no lights. Like it's not even like a motorway where there's like, it's a road. Like I would drive down these country lanes thinking, I don't even know if there's going to be some hooligans just like parked up ready to just steal my car and steal me.
You've been watching too many OnlyFans, let me tell you.
It's my fantasy. And I was just like, oh my goodness. So I got through these country lanes okay. And then the sat-nav said I needed to turn right. So I was like, okay, fine. So I'm coming out of country lane, turning right. And you couldn't even really see anything. It was so pitch black. And I remember just turning right, thinking, okay, this is definitely the way. I'm driving down the road, and then I see, it's ridiculous. I was so angry. There were two headlights coming towards me in my lane.
Oh, shit.
And I'm like, what the frick? So I started flashing, putting on my hazard warning lights. I was like, this complete moron is like obviously trying to overtake someone. But there was no car in the left lane to them. So I was like, what the hell is this?
Oh, I remember this. Yeah.
And then I remember thinking, oh my God. So then I was like, fine. They moved over. And then it happened again. I was like, what? I was like, why is everyone overtaking invisible cars? They're all in the wrong lane. And then I looked to my left and a car overtook me. And I thought, what? I was like, oh, I'm on the wrong side of the dual carriageway.
I remember this. Oh my God.
And then as soon as I realized, I was like, oh my God, as soon as those barriers, they just, they sometimes,
the grey ones,
it kind of sloped down and it was just like grass or something. I careened, because I was obviously like flashing my headlights at every car that was coming towards me to say, get out. Because I thought, I can't stop now. I've gone too far. I've just got to keep going. Yeah.
Which you were committed.
I shouldn't have committed. Because I thought if I stop, then it's going to, if I turn around, I thought my headlights aren't going to be visible. I mean, I had like 5 seconds to decide what to do. It was like fight or flight. So I thought, that's it. I'm just going to careen off this road into the right lane.
I'm not wrong. You're all wrong.
I know. I was like, it ain't me.
It's like, tick, 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 tick. Sorry, guys. Literally.
I've never felt so like embarrassed.
Flashing your brake light, sorry, all the way home.
I was like, oh my God. So I remember like getting into the right side of the dual carriageway and I saw a bus stop. I don't know why there was a bus stop in the middle of nowhere. It was like no lights anywhere. I just stopped there and I just thought, you know what, I don't normally need to have like a moment, but I was like, I'm just going to park up here and just have a moment.
We're like, can we stop the cameras, please? Just rolling, turn off your mic.
I was like, where's the producer? Because I need to have a conversation with
you. Just walk off into the dark with a bottle of water. It's like his radio's off.
But what was so frustrating is I remember when I turned right, obviously I should have missed 2 lanes and then turned right. Yeah. But there was no lights on that point, literally joining from the country lane to that road. And I don't know, it just, when it's all so dark and you're not really, I was paying attention, I thought. I missed it, but oh my goodness, that was not a good story.
But you know what? I think that resonated because that's exactly what happened to my mum. I mean, I think it's because that road was so goddamn dark and it was unfinished as well. Do you find that the roads are kind of like they're not even got like
it's great,
and like you just think to yourself, you're not the first person who's done that, and like surely you think that this is what we pay our road tax and all stuff for. To have roads that are clean, developed and a light and just clear signage and all of that kind of stuff.
Maybe in the middle of the fields you probably can't.
That was like a D-list road or something.
Oh my God, I was not impressed. So anyway,
not A route.
So that was not one of my best experiences. What are the other Well, I don't think I've got any other good ones. I've got other terrible ones. I remember when we were in, where were we? We were in Sicily, actually. We were driving around like the island, and we had like a little Airbnb that we'd booked. And it was me and a couple of friends. And I remember, oh God, this trip didn't start very well. My friend, and I know she'll be listening to this.
Oh, yes, of course. Yeah.
She broke her foot.
Oh,
and she's going to be
her.
screaming down the speaker saying, it was my fault. That was not my fault. You broke your own foot, my friend. Love you. And then
Ofcom will give you the right to reply. Don't worry.
And we'll be filing that away. And then I remember us, so that poor thing herself. So then we were in the back of the car, and I remember hiring like a decent sized car. I can't remember what it was. I think it was like a 2 Series or something. It wasn't too small. There was 3 of us or whatever. A Beamer. Yeah. And then I remember when they gave us a car, they were like, "Oh, we only have a 1 Series." And I was like, "Excuse me." I was like having that moment. I was like, "Excuse me."
Can I speak to the manager?
Yeah. I was like, "I need to speak to the manager because we paid for a 2 Series, so we want a 2 Series." And they're like, "But unfortunately, we don't have any in stock." And I was like, "Well, that's not my problem. So you need to give me an upgrade." And they're like, "Okay, we have a 5 Series." And I was like, "Okay, that sounds better.
That will do.
That will do." So then I came out and I was like, "Oh, it's a limo." It was like a bus. It was huge. It had all the electronics. It had like ambient lighting, and I don't know, it could give you like a wank, or you were sat there, could do everything. The seats were amazing.
The technology is amazing these days.
But driving a 5 Series BMW in the island of Sicily, those narrow lanes it's definitely not appropriate. So I remember we went to park it in the space, and I think we were taking up about 10 spaces in it. And then we thought, you know what, this car is just not happening. It's not practical. We can't drive around the island in this humongous bus. So we thought we're taking it back. The next day we took it back. And as soon as we got there, the guy was there. And I was like, "So we just wanted to talk about the car." He's like, "I knew you'd be back." I was like, "So why didn't you say anything?" And he said, "You really wanted an upgrade." I said, "You could have qualified what my request was."
Oh, God.
Yes. But anyway, we had a good trip. Eventually, when we had the right size car, went back to a 1 Series.
Slummed it in the 1 Series, but it was fine in the end.
Exactly. But anyway, talking about cars and driving, so what is the future given the pandemic and the environment? Electric cars versus fuel-less. What is the future?
I think, they've talked about trialing these driverless cars. Oh. I mean, we've got the DLR, which doesn't have a driver. It's like
a ride at Drayton Manor theme park.
But they're really going hard with the driverless car things. I think I was watching Westworld or something, and the concept, they took it even further, where you put your coordinates in or whatever, and the cars. I mean, the technology has gone so far. Good. Like you said, the day that that 5 Series giving you a wank. I mean, that's a realistic scenario in today's world, because technology is going so fast and fast and furious, fast and fabulous. I can see that car, and also electric as well. I mean, like in London, I'm seeing more and more people charging up their cars and stuff. And I think that's a wonderful initiative. Like, I know that the Royal Mail have like electric vehicles when they deliver and stuff. And even like the buses, I remember back in the day, the buses used to chug out all this black smoke, and now they don't. And they're much more quieter as well. Like before, you could hear the buses, someone getting on and off the bus, literally. And but now you don't hear it. And it's when they're at the traffic lights, they turn off the engine and stuff like that.
Yes, they automatically turn off. Yeah.
So I think the future is interesting, and I think for Zone 1 Ho like me who doesn't drive. I think it will, and maybe I won't ever need to learn to drive, because I think in 10 years' time it'll probably do it all for us.
You'll have your electric vehicle scooter.
I'll have my throne and my carriers. I'll be carrying like Lady Gaga, like in the egg, like wherever I go in the egg and out, and I emerge in my latest outfit.
Oh, I love it. I would be really keen for them to, because I'm sure I saw an article about it just recently about they were going to start trialing driverless cars in the UK now.
Yes.
So, because I know they've had them in like, LA and, Silicon Valley for a while now, because that's where all the technology is probably invented. But seeing stuff like that around London, it would be quite exciting to experience it, and, getting in and thinking like, okay, you feel even probably safer because you're not thinking about shady driver. But to be fair, like a lot of the cabs we use are all licensed, so it should feel safe.
This is it. I think the biggest thing with driving that we haven't really talked about is that the biggest danger on the road is not it's the other people. Because you're driving in the road. My mum, you, honestly, like 2 of them on this podcast. But it's very true though. It's kind of got that relation with the pandemic as well. That the biggest danger is not the actual threat, like the machine or the virus. It's other people and their behaviours And I think, with the future of driving, it could be very different.
No, let's drive to the bridge.
Take it to the bridge. In the right lane, please.
Oh, God. I forgot I'm not in the US now. So driving is an essential skill that even a Zone 1 ho can't afford to be without. And whilst we are #blessed as Londoners to have a city that allows us to catwalk from one end of the city to the other with relative ease, there will be times when a hoe just has to have a car service.
Telling you.
Whether it is to avoid the paths or to carry all our reusable bags after farmers market shopping spree.
That's us. We are so bougie like that.
Yes. So shut up and drive. Now
God.
it's time for us, because we aren't driving, to go to the OnlyFans
Fans
Lounge.
Lounge.
Clink, clink.
Clink, clink. Oh, gosh.
I think what we want to now kind of discuss in this wonderfully hot lounge of ours.
I know it's boiling right now.
So hot. Is what are some of the iconic music videos and films about cars? And I did a quote earlier about you're a virgin that can't drive.
Oh,
Remember when she says that to is it Ty in Clueless?
Yes.
And no, that's one of my iconic phrases that we like to use occasionally. But what other iconic videos or films involve cars in your mind?
In my mind, so obviously Thelma and Louise.
I've
You
not
can
seen
forget
it.
the road movie.
I've seen it.
Oh God! Well, you're driving on the wrong way of the dual carriageway. Of course, you haven't seen Thelma and Louise. I was actually thinking about it. Obviously, I know lots of songs, but I can't think of it. Mad Max. Oh my God, Mad Max Fury Road. Have you seen that?
No.
You must see Mad Max.
It's like
Fury
a
Road.
dystopian world, isn't it?
It's so Charlize Theron is so badass in that.
Oh, I love her.
I mean, she was. Do you know when I saw it in cinema? I used to take all my snacks with me to the cinema back when we could go to the cinema.
Oh.
And I remember the film started, and I was like, oh, I'm going to pop a grape when it gets to this loud action sequence, so I don't disturb everybody else. And I remember the film started, and then I got so into it, and then when it was time to eat my grape, it was like 55 minutes, and I was like,
I thought Papa Grape was a euphemism for a fart. I was like, well, that's fake. I was like, great.
No, a fast
grape. A grape.
Papa grape.
Is that loud?
What?
Is it loud to eat? What did you say? Papa what?
a grape.
What do you
A
mean?
grape? No, but just pop it.
But they're not noisy, are they?
They're not, but I'm so hyper conscientious. I'm not the kind of person who goes to a screening and eats popcorn. Because no, I'm not that bitch. I'm not there to eat.
That's every time we used to go. Remember we had our cinema club, and I'd be
Cinema club.
I'd always say, "Let's get some snacks." I'd be like, "No."
I'll be like, shh, watch the film. No, because you're there in the cinema. You're there to watch a film. You're not there to eat. And if you can't go with, have some snacks or something, quiet snacks.
Don't bring a Nando's into an
Exactly.
cinema.
I mean, unless you're going to watch a Bollywood film, in which case all bets are off. Because I've seen people bring in
Roti.
biryani, rotis.
No, which cinema is this?
Take your pick. Greenwich, Shaftesbury
No.
Avenue, when Shaftesbury Avenue showed. Oh my God, so many times. One time I even took a sandwich in because I was like, I ain't paying
Sandwich is fine, but not hot stew.
Yeah, oh no, my God, they used to always smell all the time. I'm so racist.
You
But what was really annoying about it was you're trying to listen to the dialogue and the soundtrack of the film, and you couldn't hear anything because people were munching away, and you're just God, the rage I used to feel. So that's why I got into a habit of going to the cinema really early, because I was it's quieter then, and people tend not to eat then.
We did an off-peak trip when we used to go, but then actually we would go to the most.
We went right to the back because we had the sofa.
We
and
went to
blank.
the
That was the bougie cinema.
That was a bougie.
I love that cinema.
Is that still there?
It's still there. So hopefully, cinemas when they reopen, we should definitely
Picture
go.
House.
Picture House Central. And
Central.
it's got a really nice bar in there as well. And for work as well, I've been to a couple of events, Ad Week, which is this huge media event, took place in there as well. And it's such a cool place to go. And there's a really nice bar there as well. And they've got a rooftop bar as well.
Oh,
but I think that's members only.
Yeah, because I remember we used to. Yeah, we didn't do the membership, did we? We just would.
Wasn't there there was an offer? There was some sort of offer where we could go and see it for $10.
Oh, because I had a taste card.
Taste
Oh wow, the joys.
Oh gosh! But do you know what wouldn't come under the taste card? The podcast is mine, and do you know why that is?
Because it's mine.
No, it's mine.
We hope that you've enjoyed listening to The Podcast Is Mine. Don't forget to like and subscribe to our podcast and share it with a friend. You can also follow us on all the socials. On Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube, we are The Podcast Is Mine. And then on Twitter, we are Podcast Is Mine. Or you can email us at thepodcastismine@gmail.com. Oh, and one more thing, the podcast is mine.